Hello, we are Sam,
And Connor.
and this is Rolling with Story, the show where we talk about tabletop role-playing games and how to improve and enjoy your gaming experience. In this episode, we're building a world, exploring our process, incorporating players' characters, and bringing our ideas together. Everybody, hello Connor, hello listener, welcome back. How are you doing today, Connor?
I'm doing very well, man. Doing very well. Very excited for this episode.
Oh yeah. Yeah, this is a really exciting one. It piggybacks off of a previous episode about world building. Now, today we are going to be building a world. In the episode, we're going to be talking through our process. We're going to be riffing off each other's ideas. Obviously, we're doing collaborative world building, which usually isn't how you until you're in a campaign, but it will show you some interesting things, our process. And we've got some pre-existing ideas, and I'm sure we will find a plethora more ideas too. Now, when we're starting off, we've kind of set our inspirations as the top line thing. Connor, could you just run us through our inspirations for this?
Yeah, for sure. So we wanted to have some things to draw from, so we're not just out there flapping in the water when we started. So we've put a couple together. We're going to look at elements from Warhammer, that's both 40k and fantasy. Lord of the Rings, of course, where you can't have any type of fantasy without it. Stormlight Archive, Dune, and the Kingkiller Chronicles by Patrick Rothfuss as well, because we are both massive fans of those.
Yeah, big fans. Big fans.
So I guess it's exciting. It's exciting, man.
It is exciting.
I guess we should start with sci-fi or fantasy or something else.
Yeah, really. Let's go really core. I think, given our list of inspirations there, I think we should go fantasy today. I also think more often than not, people will make fantasy campaigns realistically. So I think that makes it a bit easier, maybe more relevant. But there is some core tenets I want to draw, and two core things I want to draw on from Warhammer and Dune, both sci-fi. Warhammer 40,000 is grittiness.
Ooh.
Grittiness, and because neither of us have made a gritty campaign or played in one before, and I think it's really interesting to see how we could do that.
Yeah, I agree. I totally agree. I love grimdark. I love reading it. A bit of a masochist in that sense. I just love the horrible grittiness natures. That'd be super interesting to explore. And the low scale sounds exciting for me as well. I'm gonna have to dial back all my epic fantasy. Dial it back. But I'm sure I'll manage.
Oh, you'll manage, man. You got this. Okay, so grimdark. Let's think about what that means, and the grittiness means. I think we need to. It needs to be about people level, not quite. Maybe even street level. That's a cool thing about street level. Maybe in a city. Could we be in a city?
I'm thinking
Is
city.
It city based? Okay, cool.
What about city state or something?
City state. Okay, I love this. This. City states are cool.
State? Like a big, sprawling, multi-tiered city. I'm seeing it now. So we get some bit of class in there as well. You can have a bit of class dynamic. I love that.
Okay. On that subject of fantasy, where do you want to go with the city-state? Do you want to go the Greek city-state vibe? Do you want to go for like Victorian London vibes?
Ooh.
There's a lot of cool things you could do in that sort of scale.
So that's kind of time period is right.
Yes,
if we bring
it is.
Up Victorians. Okay, man, I love it. I've just had ideas. They're coming into my brain. Victorian Gothic now. We're getting grimdark. Think Bloodborne, the game.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking.
Are we in the same brain, man? We're syncing up. We're syncing. Real grim, nice Victorian style. But that means we can have things like crossbows as well, really heavily feature, and like cloaks, and I can feel it. Nice rain as well. I like that motif of the deep rain, the mud in the streets, beggars on the side of the streets. Get that real gritty vibe, kind of like Brie in the.
Yes, exactly like
City Brie.
Yes. Okay. This is good. So far, let's condense that. We've got a Victorian sort of vibe, Bloodborne inspired. We want the grittiness from Warhammer, but we want some fantasy elements too. Now, what I want to think about is in terms of our world. I think where does magic come in? is magic a common thing? Is it
Ooh.
manufactured magic? Is it like people discovered how to make through science? People have discovered like magic level science, or is it that there is already pre-existing magic and it just exists in a Victorian era?
Things are sparking, man. We were talking about Patrick Rothfuss and that he has the hard and soft magic styles in his world.
Yes.
What about if we could mess around with a soft Lord of the Rings style magic that's a bit more whimsical,
Okay.
and then a hard magic that maybe is a bit alchemaic? I'm thinking.
Oh,
You've
that's
got that kind of
cool.
the
That's really
apothecary
cool.
type style of that time. Maybe that could be. So
That's
our magic
really
could be
cool.
like alchemaic. That could be interesting.
Okay, that's very cool. So we're going for really cool. Just one thing I want to touch on is the terms hard and soft magic. I
Yeah,
believe two terms coined by Brandon Sanderson, I
it
believe,
is. Yeah.
which is a hard magic system is a magic system that has clearly defined rules and limitations. Stormlight is an example of that in the Stormlight archives. It's limited, it's very powerful, but you have to have the Stormlight to use it to do it. It's kind of like a currency.
Mhm.
Soft magic, on the other hand, is abstract and whimsical, kind of like Gandalf's magic, where Gandalf sometimes he can make fireworks go off, and sometimes also he can raise a crazy shield or he can shine a light, and you don't actually know the limits of Gandalf magic. You don't know the rules of it. So there's two blends to that, and I think as Connor's saying, we're going to have the hard alchemical magic.
Yeah.
And then we're going to have the softer,
What could it be?
form.
What's the soft magic? Well, come on, Sam. Get that brain going. What's our soft
I was
magic?
thinking fairies, I was thinking fairy magic. I was thinking fairy magic.
Love
Very
that.
cool. Like fae, like the fairy magic. And maybe that in itself brings us to like a theme, a central theme of the campaign, which is the fairy versus the alchemy. Like maybe the fairy is like the natural magic, and then alchemy is like humans or civilized people have been developing their own kind of counter magic. That could be quite cool.
Yes, yes, I love it. I genuinely love it. I've already got images of horrible people in cloaks with lanterns on a thing, and they've got a stall, where they would have chickens in cages, but there's pixies in cages.
And
they're like
cool.
selling pixies to people for like magic and good luck charms and stuff.
I love this. Now we've got a black market idea. We've got a black market idea. Now, an interesting thing is we talked about this previous episode is about BBEG. So we're talking a lot about world style. Let's think about the bad guy. Who's the bad guy? Is it a crime boss who rules alchemy in the city? He's like the alchemical master. Is it a fey powerful creature? Are they unrelated to those two things and then their own thing? I think probably they should be a crime boss with the theme that we're going for.
I was also thinking
the crime boss.
I've got some ideas here. What about if we just had a couple? It's low and gritty and like casting a lot of seeds. Maybe we could have a couple players that are moving around this city, and then we could actually develop maybe a little bit more political intrigue to this, where maybe there's a couple power people going. We have like a mob boss, and then we have maybe a fae that's in glamour that's manipulating the politics of the city or something. What about that?
Okay, I really like that. I really, really like that. So you want like a shape changer, shape or form style Fey master person. I like that a lot. I think we should have a head of the the alchemy. We could simply call him the Alchemist. That is a cool name. Fundamentally, it's cool. I love the somethings. I'm a big fan of that.
Okay, I'm fully with you, man. Sign it up.
The Alchemist. Yeah, okay, that's cool. Definitely has to have a mask. Definitely needs like a weird
plague doctor almost.
Plague doctor mask. Yeah. Okay, this is cool. So we've got two competing. Are they competing actually?
I don't even know.
The thing. Are they just doing their own thing and they're both powerful entities? Powerful players, and then
I think so. Okay, maybe they'll touch as the story goes on, but we should start the story with them not maybe having some influence. That there's another big player, and there might be another big player as the story develops. Maybe we have to create another one for more tension.
Cool.
But I think maybe there are first two ideas.
I love that. I want to play this campaign already.
Yeah, already.
Talk of 5-10 minutes. I want it.
I've got our next one. If
Fill
we've
me up.
got a thief, if we've got the alchemist who's trying to control the alchemy of the city, we've got this Fae, the glamour, let's call them, who is
Oh, yeah,
trying
the
to
glamour.
influence the political side of it. What do those two sides look like? What does the political state of this civilization look like, and what does the underbelly and the alchemy look like in this city?
Okay. I didn't like this set particularly from Magic the Gathering, but
Mhm.
the New Capenna Council of bosses is
Oh yeah.
very cool. Where you've got like a powerful council who just rule everything in the background. Warhammer do this actually in previous Warhammer with the Skaven. They had the Council
Mhm.
of 13, which was
Oh yeah.
12 members of the council, and they had the 13th member was the Horned Rat, who was their
Oh,
god, which is
sick.
really cool. So I think we should have like a council. Maybe the Glamour and the Alchemist are they on the council, or is the Glamour more hidden?
I think the glamour's on the council. I
Do you
think
think?
they
I
are.
think so.
They're
I'd agree with
Fae,
that.
man. They're definitely some type of prideful esque. No one
Okay.
can do this job better than me. I need to be there to influence the
Okay.
hands. Is there going to be like a chancellor to this council? Is there someone who is not truly the figurehead, but is kind of in charge, or are they all just fight? Maybe it's more fun if they're just all vying for power
Just
constantly,
constant
just
vying. I think
constantly.
constant vying for power sounds very cool. Maybe though, this could be quite cool. This could be cool.
Mhm.
Bankers. What if the
Oh,
chairman is the treasurer and he's like he controls the bank? So everyone, because everyone needs banks, dude.
yeah.
Everyone needs banks, and a powerful banker is a powerful person. So maybe we could have a bank as like a as a
Is that Game of
yeah
Thrones where she goes to?
the
Can't
Iron
remember in the
Bank, the Iron
city,
Bank of
but
Bravos. Yeah,
the Iron Bank
that's what you're
Prof. But
talking
there's
about.
also where she goes to one of the ones in the east, and it is like there's a banker and there's a politician, and then there's quite a couple of people who are on the council who are just powerful merchants. Maybe that's kind of our vibe. Maybe we have the
Yeah.
banking quarter, and we have the alchemaic
Oh.
guild, and our alchemist is actually trying to upspur the alchemaic guild. Maybe that's his whole motive, is that he's
Oh.
trying to completely undermine the whole alchemy guild.
Interesting. So you want to have the Alchemaic Guild and the Alchemist as separate?
Yeah, I'm thinking there's like
Wow,
there
that's
is
cool.
maybe there's a college of alchemy where there's some like it doesn't have to
Okay.
be like high fantasy wizard level, but maybe it's a guild of alchemy, and then he's doing backstreet alchemy, but he's like a prodigy. Maybe he's a complete prodigy who was
Kind
just
of like Dr. Frankenstein. That sort of vibe where he's like he studied at a
yeah.
university, but then he's doing dastardly things and maybe
Mm.
yeah, okay. I love this. I love
Yeah.
this. Okay, so the alchemist is maybe he was kicked out of the alchemy college.
Oh.
For
Oh.
dubious
Oh.
activities.
I like that. What is the dubious activity?
And
First thing that comes to mind.
but is a prodigy.
Yeah. What's the first thing that comes to mind when you think of the dubious activity? What do you think?
Oh, I am thinking necromancy. That's what I
Oh,
just
we're
think
going there.
necromancy. I think necromancy would be pretty cool. I think
Adds that Bloodborne vibe as well. If
yes.
things are coming back from the dead and things get a bit creepy, that'd be dope.
Okay, right. Necromancy. That's really cool. That is really cool. Wow.
There's a
Cool.
bit
So
of
carry
there's
on.
a bit of Full Metal Alchemist where he's an alchemist and tries to bring his mum back from the dead, and that's like forbidden alchemy, trying to like bring people back from the beyond.
Yes.
Maybe he's even got a good guy motive, but he don't, and like the Full Metal Alchemist doesn't go good. He actually gets corrupted by whatever it is and completely turns. Maybe,
wow, that's cool. That's very cool. So it's like a forbidden art necromancy. I like it.
Yeah.
I like it a lot. I like it a lot. So that just I think it's good when we're talking about this, and I think actually it's really good in world building to recap where you're at, take a stock check. So I think we're going to stock check now. So we have a high council. We don't have to call them that, but they've got a council.
Yeah.
On the council is the Glamour, who is leading the kind of fairy contingent.
Yeah.
You have the Alchemist Guild and the bankers, as well as other crime bosses, powerful figures, politicians.
Mm-hmm.
The Alchemist is not connected to the Alchemancers Guild and is actually trying to
Subvert it.
subvert them. Yeah, exactly. Subvert them. The alchemist was kicked out. They were kicked out of the alchemy college for dubious necromantic activities. That's very cool. We've got a load of really nice themes already. I can actually feel the city I'm in already, which is really exciting. Which brings me to, it's a city state. It needs a cool, gritty name.
Oh, it does. Oh, this is the stumbling point.
This is
the
hard.
names are always hard. I always end up going to a generator, if I'm going to be honest.
Do you?
I struggle.
That's useful.
There's only so many phonics I can put together until it starts to sound a bit weird for me. Have you got one?
Okay.
Have you got one?
I'm thinking ever something. Something. Like
ever something. What we trying to? So it's like, maybe it needs to be a parody of the state that the city's in now. Maybe it needs to be something like Everlast, because it's lasting forever, but there's themes of necromancy and the fact that necromancy lasts forever. If you're brought back from the dead, so it's like Everlast.
Everlast it is. Everlast it is done. There you go.
It's normally not that easy, guys. I'm going to tell you that. I'm going to say that for free. It's not normally that easy. We're lucking out today, I think. Expand on name generators as well. Producer just said, just type in random name generator for the thing you want into Google. There's a couple good ones. I haven't researched them well, so I won't actually stick some names out there in case they're not good. But I just use some random name generators to get the names that I need, because sometimes I struggle with the names, especially when you've made as many blooming names as I have. You end up being like, oh god, names.
It's easy. You can take a name and it will be Sir Gladwin the Ever Powerful, and you go, I don't like Gladwin. Gladwin sucks. I don't want it to be a Sir. It's going to be a Lord, but I like the Ever Powerful bit. And you just take that with something else. You can press the name generator a couple of times. You can take little bits. You can concatenate words, where you take one piece of a word and join it up with another.
Oh, that's a lovely word.
Good term.
That's nice. I'm going to write that one down.
It's good. Lovely. Okay, so that we've actually got quite a lot of cool, fleshed out stuff there already from starting. Now, we already have some ideas of our world style. We have a theme. We've written down here, which I think is very important, which is connect the players.
Yes.
And we came up with a mock party
of
people, and we'll talk you through the party we came up with, and just a tagline that we imagine one of our players would have told us, one of the PCs would have told us. So our characters are a wizard, a paladin, a rogue, and a druid. To start with the wizard, our wizard player says, I want to be the fireball wizard. I want to be doing big
roll dice
and blasts, roll dice, blasting, powerful. I want that view. The paladin wants to cleanse the world of an evil and explore divinity, which I think is a very interesting thing. Could you talk us through the rogue and the druid, please, Connor?
Yeah. So our rogue is interested in being part of a kind of guild. They play a lot of Skyrim. They want to get in like a thieves guild. And they also, as many rogues do, is a bit of a loot gremlin. I want to loot stuff and have nice things. We've had a druid, which is our last one, and they want to be able to commune with nature and animals. They're really interested in the kind of natural side of this world, which could be very interesting to explore. Who do you want to start with first, and how do you want to try and connect them to this made world that we made?
I think the easiest to start with is the rogue, because I think a thieves guild in a crime boss filled city of dubious morality is absolutely perfect.
Yeah.
Now, in realism, you might already had this idea, and your player went, "Oh, I want to do a thieves guild," and you already thought of a thieves guild already. You had an established idea. We don't have a thieves guild yet, but we're going to make one now. So let's think about the core ideas of a thieves guild. They're stealing stuff. They are maybe assassins. Maybe they're trading in information. Blackmailing people. One thing I thought about is that the bankers rule the market, and stocks, and then you have a black market. Maybe the thieves guild rule the black market, and they're like counter to the bankers.
Yeah, maybe they impose some type of honor amongst thieves in the black market. Maybe that's their kind of role. They're like an honor amongst thieves in the black market type thing. I also think my first neurons that are firing are telling me a thieves guild is going to start brushing up against our alchemist character very quickly. So we need to differentiate quite early on what the thieves guild is and what the alchemist stuff is. There needs to be, I think, quite a clear split, or maybe there's the thieves guild starting to hear that someone is making some moves in the underworld. That's a great way to breadcrumb start in maybe our alchemist character.
Could the alchemist be part of the thieves guild?
Oh, in the kind of double.
Because you're talking about then brushing up. If the alchemist isn't a part of the alchemy college anymore, but is a powerful figure in the underworld, would the alchemist attach themselves to another faction? Maybe it's the thieves guild. The thieves guild sound initially dubious, don't they?
Yeah.
So maybe there's that. Like, but how? One thing that's coming to my mind is the alchemist killed the head of the thieves guild, but has necromantically reanimated them.
Gosh, that is dark. I love it.
Spooky.
I love it. It's spooky. I like that. I want to know, the questions that bring that up for me is, how is he staying anonymous? How is this person that's probably thrown out of the university, how are they staying anonymous? And then the other thing is how does how evil are they? Because if they're super evil, does that rub off on the Thieves Guild? Would our player want to join the Thieves Guild if they're already super corrupt and doing nasty things? We need them to be some type of, because our rogue might not be evil but neutral, so we need to keep that kind of neutral vibe so that they want to be a part of the guild. And then we can start messing it up once we've got them in and they're attached, and then we can start messing and being awful. But we need to get them in first. I think. Yeah.
So why? How are they staying anonymous? How are they staying anonymous?
Well, they could just sort of faked their own death, I reckon. Maybe.
Yeah.
I
think they're faked. Yeah, that's a good
death. They've come back. They've joined the Thieves Guild as a grunt, because that means we can even have our character, once they come into the Thieves Guild, they hear stories. They want to get secrets of maybe some alchemy or something. So they go, oh, I know there's a black market. Let's go try and find that for one of our quests. They go down there. One of the low level members is actually the alchemist. They make a relationship, and then maybe later on in the campaign, we find out that the leader's been necromancy risen because the alchemist is starting to make big moves and is now taking over stuff.
That's super cool. Actually, the alchemist is low level.
Yeah. Pretending, hiding, so we can make a bond with the party, because betrayal is always fun.
Oh yeah, betrayal's so good. I love it. Yeah, that's cool. That's really fun. And actually it brings an interesting point that a lot of people struggle with BBEGs, is how do you take your big bad evil guy and get them to interact with your players without killing your players?
Yes.
Because you do not want your level 3 party to face your level 20 boss and try and actually fight them. And there's ways you can approach it. I'm going to talk about this quickly. You can have the hologram, the old school Mundi hologram into the Jedi Council sort of situation.
Incredible.
You can have the boss is speaking through, like, is possessing someone. So they're fighting someone quite minor, but the boss possesses them for a moment and you hear their voice. And that's actually really cool, because we can have them interact socially. But in the back of our heads, we're going, this is the BBEG and you don't know. And that's really cool. That's really cool. And they don't have to fight. They don't have to fight. And there'll come a point where they probably do. And that's going to be great. Oh, that's cool.
And the fact that we've made a Thieves Guild now means we can literally, in this process of the world building, write down a couple other names. So we could go Alchemy Guild. We could go Fighters Guild. We could say those type of things. We don't have to do any world building around them, but we write them down just so we know that they exist in the world. And that if players start to brush up against those things, you can then start filling it out. But just have a little, whatever guilds, or maybe there's this guild, maybe there's that guild, maybe there's that. Don't flesh them out, but have a knowledge that there are other guilds working within this city. That obviously it's not, it doesn't have a king, so there are these factions always pulling against each other, and it'll be good to have a couple of those written.
Nice.
So, amazing.
Carrying on with our party, I think Druid's the next easiest, because nature and animals, I just want to connect them to the Fae. I want the Fae connection. I
Oh, of
think
course.
I think the Fae are like I think in this stage they're maybe the defenders of nature. Um,
Mm.
Maybe there's I'm imagining, and this could be quite cool. In the bounds of the city, there's actually like a forest. There's like a weird forest
Okay.
inside the walls where a lot of the Fae live, and it's like kind of spirit realm linked. Is there a Fae
Mm.
realm? That's another
Is
plane
there?
based
I
question.
reckon there's definitely a Fae realm. I would. The question I'd ask first is, what does nature look like in this world? If we're having quite a grim, dark, drab Victorian thing, is the nature flourishing and happy, or is the nature almost like elves in the Witcher thing, where they're actually under quite immense stress, and the whole reason the glamour is doing this is because they're leading kind of rebellion? Are they? What does it look like? Is there nice gardens and groves in this city, or have they all fallen
No,
to thistles and
yeah,
brambles?
Mirkwood. Mirkwood from Lord of
Oh,
the Rings. I want
oh.
the spooky forest. Once was lovely. Once was called the Greenwood, but no longer.
Mm,
Has maybe, yeah. I think nature's fighting back, and one
yeah.
kind of core tenet that people have talked about in videos before. I know Matt Culver's talked about this. Is the idea of between um, law and order versus kind of chaos and organic natural growth,
Yes,
and that could
I
be a
love
really
that.
interesting one. He talks about in a video about how he started the theme of in his campaign of like nature versus civilization as the roads growing over with roots and brambles all the time and
Mhm.
people having to hack and slice them. And it sounds like a really minor thing, but there are something in the woods making the roots grow over the paths to disrupt
Mm.
civilization again. Is it that? Yeah, how peaceful are the Fae existing with these people? I'm interested to know your thoughts on that.
My first thoughts are I want some real twisted Fae for our grim dark stuff,
Yeah.
but I also want some hopeful Fae. I don't want our druid to have to commune with nature and it always be, I hate humans, we're going to destroy everything.
Yes.
So we need to find a balance there because this type of player is, I want to commune with animals and nature. They obviously have a kind of want to do nice things, so we shouldn't completely smash them with the grim dark in the face, like everything is
No.
evil,
No.
nature is awful.
No.
Um,
No.
so we should
Agreed.
go with we should have some really nasty, twisted old man Willow style,
Yes.
old now and civilization's coming on grumpy, and we should have
Pan's
some hope.
Labyrinthy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And we should have some hopeful faith. But that can be the grass growing between a couple bricks in the road. But it's instead of being grey and drab, it's actually
Yeah.
green and bright. You can have this and then the whole druids thing is communing with that nature and then bringing the kind fae and the kind nature into the city. Maybe that could even heal some of the city's drabness and sadness, and that could be their
Yeah.
storyline almost.
I'm imagining like orchards where the poor folk who are starving can go and pick fruit and eat, and it's something the Fae have
Mm.
laid down to like
Love that.
help people. I think that would be really beautiful, and that could be a
Love.
really cool moment, like that motif of like the people are being fed by
Yeah.
the Fae. I think that's
Yeah.
really that's
I
really cool.
100%. I'm gonna yes and you. I want the Fae to be pilgrims. The Fae change these Fae that
Wow.
come. They come, but sometimes it's Fae in the gardens, and they give and they give. But the Fae are always changing. Different Fae arrive each time.
Mm.
Maybe they're coming, but we don't leave the city. But it's just a little bit of that outside feel. Then we've got that something. Things are coming to the city from far beyond, far away places. I like that vibe.
Nice. So they're wanderers. They're wanderers.
Yeah.
They come, they go. When they're here, sometimes it's good, sometimes it's changeable. Do they
Yeah.
change with the seasons? Is that a thing?
Oh,
Are they
for sure, man. I love
seasonal changes? Okay.
Oh, it don't
I
have to be. They don't have to
They
be,
don't have
but
to be. No, I like that. I like that a
I
lot.
think there should be some Fae. I'll sing another motif here. What about there's some Fae that have become rooted to the city, and they're the ones that start to get a bit grim because they become rooted there and they can't leave anymore.
Oh,
Kind of like kind of like elves in Lord of the Rings. They start to lose their glamour, their thing. So some of the trees are fangorny because they've become stuck in the city and they can't leave or something like that. What about that for a little?
should we call them the rooted?
Oh yes,
I think that
yes,
would
we
be
should.
super cool. So the rooted, they've been stuck. They can't wander. It's the nature of the Fae to wander. When they
Yes,
can't wander, they stray down dark paths.
change because of the
Yes, they
seasons.
change.
Nature's always
Yeah.
changing. They can't because they're rooted.
Damn. That's cool. That's
Mhm.
very, very cool. Okay, so we fleshed out the Fae. We now know how the Druid can interact both positively and negatively with nature and animals.
Yeah.
We have not yet touched on the Paladin's idea of divinity. What's
Yes.
our pantheon? Do we have one?
I feel so taking in the world, taking in the thing, we cannot have gods walking amongst people.
Nope, agreed.
Because it's very much, it has that kind of feel of like abandoned. They're like, oh, the world's become dark because something has left, some light has gone, maybe. So what are your thoughts, man? What are your thoughts? What's first sparking in your brain?
Okay, my idea is this. There's not classic pantheon anymore. The
Ooh,
gods
okay.
left, but they left behind powerful servants who serve as kind of, they can interact with humans in some ways. I'm thinking angels and demons vibe,
Oh,
where they're sort of like, they're powerful. Like a demon is powerful, and
yeah,
in our gritty campaign, a demon is very, very powerful, but
yeah,
it's not a god. It's not
yeah,
extra
yeah,
dimensional in the way that is in scale. I mean, it might
yeah,
come from the hells or
yeah, yeah, yeah,
wherever, but that could be quite interesting. That could be an
yeah,
interesting thing. We don't
yeah.
have to have them as clearly defined angels and demons. We could have them as something else. We could call them something
I
else.
really like the idea from Brandon Sanderson
Mm.
where he has the evil god and then the main servants of his evil god. It comes from Christianity, I think, are actually spirits that move people. Like in a way,
Mm.
so like maybe one of our demons. There's one demon in the sea, and it is the demon of greed
I was
or
literally
gluttony.
thinking greed. Greed
Or
is the one.
greed.
Greed's the one for
So
this. Greed's the
so
one.
sometimes during when you're talking to people, they get taken over by the spirit of greed. Like they roll a little wisdom, and this it's just the cloud over the sea is the demon itself. Like, and people sometimes
Oh,
just get moved by greed. They just get moved by it. The spirit takes them. They can't, you know, that could be really interesting. So maybe the paladins searching for a good spirit to replace. He's like, I know there is a spirit hanging over this city. You know, I can feel it, and we're here to expunge it, kind of thing.
okay. What about we only have two like powerful entities in that? We've got the demon of greed who sits over the city, kind of tinkering with everything,
Yeah.
and then we have charity, the opposite,
Oh, I
where we have a
love it.
giving. We have like a giving god, and we can have, yeah, we can have charity giving. Are they angelic? Are they a fey entity? Is if we got the fey giving to people, could we have a
That would
fey
make
entity of
sense, but then
charity?
maybe a fey entity of charity, maybe like an arch fey that is so powerful that they can't really materialize, but they are a spirit.
That's
I'm
cool.
thinking homebrew rules already, sparking in my brain that greed and charity could be a scale, like almost Sith and
Oh
Jedi. And when you're
wow.
doing things throughout the story, if you act with the spirit of greed, you'll get certain bonuses and you become more greed filled. And if you do certain charity things, you get more good points and you'll get benefits for that as well. You could have a little homebrew rule there where this whole story is being, these are outside entities, but they are having some kind of weight of how the story is going. That could be really interesting.
I really like that. I really like that. And I think that if we just to extend on that, if you have a campaign idea that a homebrew system will make more interesting, do it. Example
Yes.
being in the latest Connors campaign, otherwise known as Campaign 3, we've been servants of the gods. And the whole motif was the red star coming, but there was also good stars. And we have zeal points, which are these points you gain every 10 episodes. You gain a zeal point every episode. You can spend a zeal point to re-roll a roll, and
Yeah.
then that's fixed. That is it. And you've spent that one. But every time you get 10, you look up into the stars, you see a kind of Skyrim skill tree style beaming star. And from that, you then gain a cool ability. Now that worked great because of the star motif with we're kind of chosen ones of the god king and his symbol as a star.
Mm.
That works great. In this one, greed and charity is super fun. And you could even, if you wanted to get really into this DM wise, you could have a scale of like people gaining greed versus charity points, and then people
Mhm.
get different things when they hit different charity and greed levels. Would be so cool. That would be
So
so
much fun.
interesting. And it means people are like have a vested interest in RP related decisions, which part
Yes.
of our campaign is political. So
Yes.
that in itself is, oh, I love it. I love
Yeah.
it. I want to play this campaign. It sounds insane. It
I
sounds
love it.
insane.
And then last but not least, is our wizard. So they want to be a
Yes.
master blaster. They want to do spells. So now we can mess around with our. I think the wizard should be able to do both. The druid has the kind of soft magic of the fae. So I think our wizard should be able, and the rogue might even have some alchemy, but the wizard should be able to mix around with both. I think that's what you get when you play a wizard. You're going to get all the spells. You're going to get all the magic. That's what you're signing yourself up for. I think that's what people do, right? It's what you did
Yes.
when you.
No. Agreed.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I want the
100%. You
spells.
want them all. You want them all. I love it. That's really cool. So
So
they get a flavor of all of it. Now,
yeah.
I don't think we need a wizard's. We don't think we need a wizards. I think we've got an alchemist faction and a fairy faction. I think that's really cool.
Yes.
Maybe because a lot of thing with wizards is you learn stuff. Maybe they have studied at universities. I don't want to come all the way back to the alchemy college. Doesn't have to be that.
Mm.
But how did they learn to be a wizard? Actually, how did they learn
I
that?
think that would be a lovely conversation to have with the player. I think you could really sit down with your player and go, okay, I have these two systems. I want you to both use both because you're playing a wizard. Why can you use face stuff and why can you use alchemy? Can we make a story together of how we do that? So maybe we could do that. Maybe you could be the player. You'll be the wizard, Sam, and I'll be the DM. I'm going to come to you.
Okay.
Hello, lovely player. I see you want to play a wizard and you want to play lots of spells. I have two types of spells in my world. I have a kind of hard magic alchemy, which we're going to reflavor loads of spells for. And I've got a soft magic fae, but I really want you to have access to both as you're going to be our main spellcaster. I'd love to sit down and make some story elements. How would you be able to use both, do you think?
That's a cool question. So what I'm thinking immediately is I love the warlock idea of patronage. I love that idea of patronage, and I want to be of Fey descent. So I want to be blessed by the Fey, and that's how I can access the soft magic. But and that's sort of the patronage idea. I don't need a patron; it doesn't need to be as kind of developed as that. But I want that connection, or maybe that's kind of sorceress, I suppose. Actually, isn't it? You have the
Yeah.
innate power, so a bit of that, and then I want to have either. No, I'll tell you what, where I can bring the warlocky bit in is I
Okay.
found a book of alchemical lore.
Oh.
And I heard a myth that if you sleep with a book under your pillow every night, you will you'll come to know what it says. And actually, I didn't know how to read before. I learned how to read with the book under my pillow. One day, suddenly, I could read the words. And slowly but surely, I developed alchemical knowledge until now, where I can blend both my kind of natural, soft fairy magic with the hard magic of alchemy. It's the vibe I'm feeling.
Amazing. Thank you very much, player. I'm going to run off with my book. Instantly, the things that are coming up to me is you've got a book of hidden archaic lore. I think I've got a BBEG would like to get his hands on that.
Oh,
so
that's cool.
Automatically put two together. Bam, bam.
Yes.
Okay. So maybe even when it's low level, they're talking to the rogue and going, I'm looking for this one book, and that's how we tie our wizard in. And the Fae side, we have Charity as this kind of arch Fae. Maybe we can connect Charity to the wizard in some way. Maybe they are a descendant, or they're descendant of one of the servants of Charity, and start building from there. Basically, okay, well, I've got this person that wants the thing. The glamour might be able to see the fact that you are touched by the Fae. So when you come to maybe the political intrigue, the glamour who is in glamour is very interested in the wizards and very interested in the druid for certain things because they want to suss that out. And that is how you should do it, guys. You should just talk to your players.
To have a conversation, because players will have an idea and then you'll riff off from it.
Exactly.
Really, really cool. Okay, now we wrote civilizations down here, which is interesting
Mm.
because we actually already kind of have them in that we have our council, right? We have factions. So when you say civilizations, it could be you have a kingdom and there's loads of different like people that are part of it. Maybe there's a rival empire. I'm feeling very much like our story will be set in Everlast, and that's I don't know if we need to go beyond the borders of Everlast much. I think I'm happy with this. It can be a big city. There's loads of things you can do in a city. There's loads of rich things there.
I think we answered the civilization question as we went on, which you probably will when you get to world building anyway. It's as we've been doing here. It's very good to just follow the trails that excite you. Follow the things that excite you. Follow those parts, and you'll answer those questions already. I like having the world being big outside of the city. I would have little things of other civilizations that are around, like the Fae coming from that other place. But if I wanted it in a small city, I'm going to try and tie the players to the city so much they don't want to leave. Basically, they've got too much going on here. There's too much, stuff happening that they don't, and they won't hear any hooks. That's what you do. Don't hook people from other civilizations. No. Make it so interesting that like, well, we'll have to go find out, or let's go find out.
Yeah,
don't hook them. And world building stuff, but don't hook.
And what people want with the world is, and this is one I always think of when I'm making like a planet or something, or a world that you're going to be on, is what people want is climates. They want they want a desert place. And they want a foresty place, or maybe I want that. I want that. Yeah. So we just have biomes in the city. That's exactly what I was thinking. We just have biomes in the city. So we just have one that rains all the time.
Yes,
it's ever raining in this one. It's like the
maybe an alchemaic thing went wrong there once.
Yeah. Exactly.
There's a constant rain.
The street of precipitation, and it just rains all day, every day, all the time. And that can be super cool.
What happens because of that? The sewers there are really bad, and people are miserable. Right. And then the world building that comes from that. I also had a note that I forgot about, but I've now come back to. I want ghost parts of the city where, like in a manor house, and part of the manor house has fallen to complete derelictness, and no one goes there. Parts of the city that are like completely derelict, that no one goes there, and there's no one there. And the city and the buildings are all falling down. But great place for a thieves guild, or or even rooted fae that hide amongst the buildings and stuff like that.
Yes. Oh yeah, I'm feeling the term I'm thinking there with ghost is ghasts.
Oh, ghasts.
Ghasts is a good one. So we're gonna have some ghasts. We're gonna have like a derelict ghast place. We could call it anything we wanted, really.
And then you can. From there, you could drop onto folklore. What are the folklores about and stuff? They could be really fun. I know that when I like to world build, I do like to make a couple of little stories, some little stories to throw around, some ancient. It was good to go into like the story: who built the city, who governed the city. Did the city have a really dark period and has come back from that? The city have a golden age and just can never get back to that golden age. There's so much you can do with history and folklore. It's so much fun.
I agree, and I think sometimes it's good to rewind the clock and go, like you say, what was your city like 100 years ago? If it was a golden age 100 years ago, what happened? Because it ain't a golden age now. So what went wrong? Was it trade? Was it the Fae turned up? And everyone blames the Fae. 100 years ago, the Fae turned up to the day. It's weird. Why has everything started going wrong? And maybe there's a different reason. Maybe that's actually when greed turned up. I don't know.
Yeah, and the Fae got completely scapegoated.
And the Fae, maybe the Fae, the reason that the charity sent the Fae is to stop greed, but no one's noticed.
But no one's noticed because it's so hard.
It's so hard to know because it's this weird abstract demon cloud.
Or even the Fae became corrupted and they became greedy, and that's why they ended up getting rooted. Is because they themselves
maybe the moment as a Fae, the moment as a true Fae. So not like you're descended from Fae where your bloodline's been polluted. You're true Fae. The moment you have a greedy thought you root.
Oh
You've
my
just
gosh, that's
switched. You just go,
amazing.
and then you're
What a
locked.
treat.
You're locked,
Yeah.
and you're stuck, and you're a tree,
Okay.
and you're bramble bush.
I love it.
Weird.
Yes, anding again. Our druid is the one fae that's actually managed to get through and hasn't become corrupted.
Yes.
And we can keep that a secret the whole game and then reveal it at the end. Well, actually, you were a fae. You were the one fae that, and Charity sent you because you couldn't get corrupted or something like that. Like we could, there's a story element there we can mess
There
around
is
with.
totally a story moment there. It's just, it's so fleshed out, and all we've been doing is riffing off. And this is what we wanted to illustrate to you: is, listener, you can go anywhere. We honestly sat down before this and we talked for about 5 to 10 minutes about writing some things down. We didn't think anything about the Fae. We had none of this stuff. We just riffed off it. And it's so, I'm having a great time. I'm sure you are, Connor. It's so enjoyable
yes.
building your world. You could do it with someone. You could do it just yourself. One thing I didn't get to mention, our world building previous episode, was actually I talk to my wife about things a lot. So she doesn't play D&D. She doesn't really have that much interest in it. But I go, darling, how would this work? What would you do about this? If I had a demon that was like this, what would you do about it? And she'll go, well, you could call them that, and she'll throw an idea out. And sometimes just getting a little riff off someone can be really, really fun. Like I'm finding now, we're just backboarding each other, just bouncing balls off each other, and it's just going. It's good. It's good. Is there anything we've missed? Do you think? Oh no, carry on. Go on.
In writing, we call that an independent reader, which is the first person that should read your work, and it's the first person you should bounce off. And when you write, a lot of the time you write with your independent reader in mind. This is coined by Stephen King, and you write with them in mind because you're writing to almost impress them, or to, they would really like this, and that helps you. So when I'm doing my world building, I might be like, Sam would really love that. Okay, yes. What would Sam say? Sam would say that. Okay, yeah. So and when you know someone that well, you can really bounce, and it can be anybody. Find someone that also is a DM and is running their story, and if they're willing to listen to you and bounce ideas off, be ready to listen to them and help them bounce ideas off. You could help each other, get better stories.
Exactly, and what you want. And sometimes, like you say, think about people in mind. We have a really good friend of ours who has the best reaction to cool things in D&D, where every single time he just goes, "Oh my god!" over the mic, and you just you guys live for that, and you hear it, and you go, "Okay, he loves it," and you just know he will. And you can, like you say, you can build things for people. You can build things for yourself. You can tell a story you wanted to tell. Awesome. One thing I think I want in there is a lesser minion I want an assassin working for the alchemist who is like a Jack the Ripper guy, who's like serial killing out on the streets, and he's like body gathering. Yeah. He's like body snatching.
So making amalgamations.
And he's making amalgams. Maybe he's a Frankenstein's monster. Maybe the alchemist made
I see it.
And he's a big, hulking, nasty, Frankenstein assassin guy.
I love it. Stick it on. I think also we could definitely do a part 2 of this. If people like this, they enjoyed this. I know we definitely did. We could
absolutely. People, just let us know. I mean, just keep building. There's a lot of good stuff we can do. I think, Connor, we've got a really good selection there. Is there anything you wanted to add to this? Anything we haven't explored before we round this episode off?
No, not at all, man. I've had lots of fun. It's been great.
Brilliant.
Oh, excellent. One thing I will add
is
if there's any ideas you like in here, guys, take them. Go wild.
Yes, have fun. Absolutely. And also, if you do it a different way, comment. Let us know. Keep us in the loop. Let us know if there's another way you approach this, or something you think, oh, I love that idea. Let us know that. Drop a comment.
Oh, yes, that's and us. Give us some more ideas.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Now, I'm going to round this up to summarize. Start with your inspirations, what you love. Also talk to your players about what they love. But start with you as the DM. What do you love? What story do you want to tell? Think about your theme and genre. We went for grim, dark, and gritty today, but you could go any which way. You can start with a BBEG. You can start with the world style in terms of the genre, as up to you, but blend those together and include your players. Don't flesh your whole world out and then go, oh, by the way, guys, what do you want to do? Ask your players, how do they want to interact with this? What do they want to be part of? That can be really enjoyable too. And it give you things to riff off like we did. Also, pantheons don't have to have one. We've got a weird mostly abstract pantheon in this one,
Taoism,
haven't
I
we?
think.
Yeah,
Chaos,
very Taoism.
chaos order.
Yeah,
It's cool.
yeah, exactly. And do you need civilizations? Think about setting. I think we're pretty happy with the City of Everlast. Sounds pretty cool.
City of Everlast.
Excellent. Okay. Well, thank you very much. Connor, anything you want to add to that?
No, I'm all good. Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you, Connor. Thank you, listeners, and goodbye. If you enjoyed this episode today, join us next week where we help you craft a first episode for your campaign.